All right. What's up, everybody? Josh just dropped his phone, but I hope that's not a bad sign for this episode, or maybe for the world, because we are gonna get into a heavy topic. But anyway, another episode of Broken Bird Conversations. You know, I'm Seiko.
I'm Josh.
That's Josh, and this is like episode 23, I think. I'm not sure.
Yes, sir.
But this one, I want to talk about a topic that's kind of a current topic, and that was really interesting, in the fact that over Canada and over Texas, and I think there might have been a third location, like you said.
I believe, yeah, there's a third one now.
There was a freaking UFO, or unidentified flying object. Yeah. It's not a fucking spaceship. It was some sort of like drone or balloon.
It was like a balloon, yeah.
Yeah, that was like flying over, at least for one of the examples I heard of, was flying over a military base, like a nuclear military base where they like had all their weapons and shit.
That's terrifying.
So that's what's interesting.
Yeah.
And what's also interesting is that this unidentified flying object, I think, I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to spread misinformation.
Yeah, no.
But from what I heard, and again, I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but I swear that China even owned up to it, and they
shit.
Like they claim like, yeah, that's our.
Right now, like the things I was reading, but this was like from last night. My mom called me just tell me about all this stuff, but and I was like, I didn't know any of this. I'm like, oh shit, so that's pretty fucking crazy, and it makes you wonder, because of course there's shit going on in Russia, which not making anybody feel safe, you know, from anything. But this doesn't help situations. So the things I was reading, they don't know what it is. It's all, you know, assumption based. I know some crazies are saying it's like it's actual aliens shit going on, which is not. No, I would not say it's
a balloon.
Yeah, so no, like it's an alien balloon, man. That's that outer space shit, you know. It's they people in Texas be talking crazy, but I feel like it's not. I don't know if it's a good sign. It doesn't seem like it'd be good. It seems like they're going to be investigating things, how it comes off. Like, why else are you doing stuff in secret?
Yeah.
I think in World War II, they used to had people that were living there, but they would call them would speak Japanese, and were able to get a hold of like a dentist, and he would work in Pearl Harbor, and they were asking him questions like, oh, what can you see outside your window? But he was speaking to him in Japanese, and he was answering. He's like, he's like, who is this? And then he's like, why? And then they hung up. But they were doing stuff like that. They were using regular people as spies, not even realizing it.
Wait, what? I don't understand.
So in World War II, like before they attacked Pearl Harbor, they were calling this dentist office. It was a Japanese dude that was working there at his dentist office, and they're asking him questions about like what he could see, you know, what he was looking at, and he was like, who is this? Again, this is I don't know
who's calling him again?
Japanese. Before they attacked us in Pearl Harbor. Okay. I feel like they were using spies that were like locally wherever they're going to go, so they can look at stuff. That's how they were doing it, so that people wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And that's so it's still kind of secret. And then of course they attacked Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was the Japanese. Is the Chinese, and we're doing something different, but. Someone's just spying, floating around, looking at something. It tells me they're trying to get an idea. They're surveying their intel, which. Why are you getting intel? What are you needing it for?
And they got TikTok, man.
Yeah,
they're getting fucking intel from all their phones and shit.
You remember about that? I don't know if I have my phones on the floor, but if y'all remember that the flashlight app? Before there was an app, you couldn't turn a light on your phone. So I remember, I'm old as fuck. So I remember these the old iPhones. To only way to use the app to only way to use the light, you had to have a flashlight app. You couldn't just access it. You could never use it. So this app that you would use, which everyone fucking had, that was an app that was a spy app. And
what?
It would every time it was accessed, as soon as the first time it was accessed, it was always recording.
Really?
Yeah, that actually came out a while back. It was always fucking, I promise, man, it was always recording.
Because I remember using that app too. Yeah, because
everyone fucking did.
Because the iPhone now has a flashlight option, but before that, if you wanted to use the flashlight to look at shit, like you said, you have to have an app.
Yeah.
And that app was a fucking spyware?
Yeah, it was a spyware. And there was
from China?
Even,
or was
it was from China, yeah. There was children apps they found as well that were part of the spyware. So like kids would just download apps, you know, kids, it's a kid app, download. And then that was spyware as well, and it would just use it to record. And
it's kind of genius though, just to give them credit. You know, the fact that they like know the current state of the world is very app heavy, technology. Social media, so they just use that to their advantage. Just disguise as spy app.
And that was a while back when this came out.
I know.
So the fact that these balloons, they were pretty visible. It feels that they could have been even higher if they didn't have to be that visible. But they didn't care that they're getting visible. They got down low enough so they could get the pictures they wanted.
You know what I wondered though? Don't we have Google Earth?
Well, it's outdated usually, but Google Earth doesn't also go over military bases. It's not going to go in those areas. But
It's blurred.
Yeah, it's just, and it doesn't help that you're saying like what they were having talks with Putin.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really crazy. The fact that I think there's a photo actually taken of them.
Gosh,
damn,
that's not
Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. Is it president or what is
president? I don't know. Ruler,
the leader, the fucking dictator.
Yeah, dictator.
And Xi Jinping, aka Winnie the Pooh, aka the president of China. Yeah. They had dinner together and they were like talking or some shit.
All right.
And that's crazy because those are like our two like kind of biggest enemies, you know, like
the people that we
against us,
work with, but also
and now they're eating together.
Yeah.
So it's like shit.
It's like a lot of people that seem like always have an itchy trigger finger, and it doesn't help that everybody has nukes, you know.
I know, man.
It doesn't help that
I genuinely believe once one fires, it's the end of the world. Because once one fires, everyone's going to freak out. We got to fire ours now in retaliation. Bam, bam, bam.
This is the stuff that is, so I get off on these rabbit holes constantly. So I start maybe looking at stuff like this, you know, trying to understand it, which is what happened. And then I start researching the what's it called in Egypt, the
pyramids?
No, not the pyramids, but the Sphinx. I ended up going like the Sphinx journey.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you know some things about the Sphinx. It relates, I promise.
I just know what it is. I know that they don't have a nose. It fell off or whatever.
Yeah. So there's and there are people questioning that's basically the age. You know, they say it's about as old as the pyramids, stuff like that. But it looks very different. If you look at it, you know, age-wise especially, it looks way more worn out. And
so it's older.
They believe. Well, Egyptologists say no. It's this age, but when geologists look at it, it looks like it had tremendous amounts of rainfall to carve these little grooves in it, not by flooding, but by rainfall over thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Yeah. So it shows that its age. They actually dated the Sphinx to around like 12,000, maybe 12,500 years old. So it's like maybe like 9,000 years older than we think currently, and it puts it at that age, which is interesting because this guy that had this theory, this dude that he would have like these prophecies in his sleep. This happened a long time ago, and he had these prophecies, and he had this dude record them. And it's about one of them was about the Sphinx, that they're going to find an entryway in the left front paw of the Sphinx that goes down to these hidden catacombs. And these hidden catacombs, they're going to find the answers to humanity, and all that was said, all this information that was hidden there. And no one ever talked about the Sphinx having, you know, entrances or anything like that. And there's lots of these entranceways that get down the catacombs. Well, guess what? By the front paw, they did find an entrance that goes down to and this happened like in 2019. But
that's crazy.
It is crazy. And the guy that was in charge of it, that is like excavation, all that stuff, he had like a TV show he was going on, he abruptly stopped it. He once they're excavating, somebody, we didn't find anything. He stopped all his TV show, and even to
the prophecy guy.
Yeah, no, not the prophecy guy.
Okay.
That was a long time. That happened. Sorry, that was back in the 20s.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And this prophecy, which is interesting, that's kind of, he had some things that come true, which I have my own little weird debate on people that can have prophesize shit. I feel like it's like alternate dimension shit of possibilities of future.
Talk about that after.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Anyway, going back to this, so they actually were finding all these different little passageways that could go in there, and it was this guy ended up stopping all the documentary because he said he didn't find anything, and he was supposed to have this debate with this other dude, this Egyptologist that was like the archaeologist type dude, was supposed to debate with this other guy trying to prove if there was going to be any I wish I had their names, I do apologize. But we'll pull it back up because I'll send you the videos when I show you. But they had these they're going to have this debate over it, but he didn't want to do it because he was going to mention this dude that knows information about what's under there, like all this different stuff that was a part of these documentaries that they both like got banned. The guy didn't want anybody doing it. He canceled all these different shows. That's why they're trying to have this debate. But since this other dude was getting mentioned, he stopped everything again. He said can't talk about it. And then as he started trying to even broach the subject, he starts sweating and he starts freaking out because something tells me something's dangerous. And I was telling my wife about this. I was like, it sounds like he's afraid he's gonna die. I'm like, he must know information because anything gets broached in this mention of this dude, he started like having a panic attack and he sat back down. And he's doing this, he's just like. It's like we can't talk about doing this stuff.
To hit the table.
Yeah, sorry. He's like we can't talk about this. He's all freaking out, and it goes in this thing about this tomb that might be in there, what they may have found. Because if it is true, the psychic, what he saw, what he was claiming that he could have found, could have proved that the Sphinx is so much older. Which it goes back to like this Göbekli Tepe. I'm not sure if you know what that is. You heard about it?
No.
It's this other ancient. It's older than Stonehenge. It's like 5,000 years older than Stonehenge was, and people don't know how they made Stonehenge. And this Göbekli Tepe,
Stonehenge, the one.
Yeah, in England, you know, all the big, huge, massive, like 1-ton stones that are all. They still don't really know what it was used for.
Yeah.
Well, Göbekli Tepe, the way it looks, they think it's like a religious site, but it also dates back to 12,500 years ago.
Where is this at?
This is in, oh my gosh, I forgot what part. I think it's somewhere
Egypt,
in Africa.
right?
No, it's somewhere in Africa.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I believe.
It don't matter.
I don't remember. I got sidetracked on the details on that. But again, we'll have this stuff posted up there, I promise. Yeah. But it's interesting because they don't really know what Göbekli Tepe was, but it looks like it was deliberately buried. That's what this one person was saying in this
So is that a statue? What
it's a whole. They're still uncovering it.
Okay.
It's still being uncovered. So they think it was like a religious site. They don't really know what it was for because there's carved images, kind of like in Egypt, of animals and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get what this is because you just said the name, but we don't know what it is.
They're still trying to figure it out. It looks like a religious site, but
it's underground.
It's not really underground. The Göbekli Tepe, it's on the surface. It's like Stonehenge, just like how Stonehenge is set up. Except these were all buried. They're saying all these different monoliths and all these different structures.
Yeah.
They don't really know what it is for. They're still uncovering it. They believe it's getting bigger and bigger, like this whole site. But what was crazy, this is how Göbekli Tepe dates back to what people believe the age of the Sphinx, which they don't understand what that means or why it relates. But the theory is that there's got to be something that the previous civilization existed, is what some people are saying. That the Ice Age happened, the big massive flood happened. That's why the Ice Age happened, and we weren't cavemen like that back then. We were an advanced civilization that people are now believing that we fucked up, world ended, in a sense, and we had to start back over, and then that's when stuff starts picking back up later on, and then now we're going to get to this point where we might end up starting back over, and we'll be at this breaking point. That's what I feel like we go, because he's talking about how the world goes through these little cycles, and that people were using all these mathematical things to prove all these different points, how it goes through all these different points of these little cycles, and we're at this point of where the last Ice Age happened. It was around this same time, is what they're saying. We are in it. I don't know if that relates to anything that could hopefully not happen in our future, but it's very possible that even in our generation, we might see something crazy happen.
I believe it. I generally believe cycles. History repeats itself. It's really weird how things work like that.
Well, it makes it interesting they're discovering that. If this is true, that is a real old civilization that existed before Egypt and all the other ones way before that. That was a real civilization we didn't know about.
Yeah.
That tells me we just repeat the same shit over and over. It's the same shit.
Were there any world wars during 1920s?
During that time? What do you mean? World War I happened around that time.
You're talking about... Wait, what were you trying to say?
What do you mean?
I'm confused.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. So I was trying to say so
what was the point?
I was trying to say all of a sudden they're just discovering this stuff, which would be crazy if we used to be a different civilization that existed way before, and then it just restarted again, which is what they said, because this documentary was talking about all these different Egyptian things this knowledge they used to have that has been lost, and these people are still holding is what these theories are out there, and it makes it more seem crazy. All these different things are going on in our world because these cycles. I was just meaning the war that we're talking about. That was just with Pearl Harbor. I was talking about.
Yeah.
That was with the spies and shit.
But how you said for example, during that time, how they had the Sphinx and they have that. What was that?
Göbekli Tepe. Yeah.
And you said that we might be repeating the same cycle of
because Göbekli Tepe, obviously the world ended just because of natural disaster. It was just a natural disaster that caused the world. I don't know if it was tsunamis and things. I'm not sure what happened. Ice Age is just the polar ice caps maybe switched. I think that's what caused a lot of it.
Yeah.
But they were saying they believe Göbekli Tepe was intentionally buried, which is interesting. Why would he maybe intentionally bury all these big, whatever this ancient structure was? They buried it, and then the fact that the Sphinx could possibly be a lot older than it is, and it also dates back to the time of the same time as Göbekli Tepe, which is also Atlantis dates back to around the same time as well. If you remember what Plato said, it was also 12. It was like 12,500.
Wait,
as well.
Atlantis is real?
No, we don't know that.
Okay.
No, it's just that it just was interesting. Plato, he was mentioning Atlantis, and the date time he gave was also 12,500 years ago.
Plato is a philosopher?
Philosopher. I assume people knew some of this stuff.
No, he's a philosopher.
Yeah, he's a philosopher. I forget, Plato, he's a philosopher, and he's the one that had the story of where the origin of Atlantis came from. He was the one that was talking about it.
So what is this thing about Atlantis? Why is there a city in the water?
Oh no, it just sunk. It was supposed to be. So do you know the story of Atlantis?
I don't know.
Oh, so Atlantis was supposed to be like the pinnacle of civilization. It's the most advanced city we've ever had.
I know Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman.
That's it.
No, so Atlantis, it was supposed to be our highest achievement of advancement.
Really?
And then it fell. Atlantis disappeared, and they used to be this story, this myth, and we don't know what happened to it. And Plato mentioned it about how advanced this civilization was, and how they fell. And it was like, and that's where it was interesting about Göbekli Tepe and that the Sphinx, how they all date back to around the same kind of age, which tells me like, did we just at one point get so advanced and we collapsed because of the world, and we restarted because it took almost 10,000 years for us to restart again. Yeah. Because we didn't start forming until like almost 9,000 years later.
I mean, they say every great civilization ends up collapsing. Every single one.
Which it brings us to the point that's what I was trying to say. Like, if that had happened, if we just repeat that cycle at that one point, started back over, and now we got to this point again, we started back over when Rome fell. Well, at least we did, and Europeans did. I don't know if Japan and China had their own, I guess, things going on as well. They were it's connected. Yeah. But I feel like us coming back to this, where we are right now with the stuff going on, we have all this new information everybody's discovering. It's like a lot of us are on this path of discovery. So it feels like there's something that's going to be happening. I honestly, to me, feels like there's something that's getting lifted up to the surface that people are starting to pay attention, and we're all coming to this point.
What do you think it is? What are you trying to imply?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's like an honesty is happening, like a truth is coming out of some sort. I don't know what that means.
Like political?
I don't know. It could be political, worldly. It could be just like, because if you look at the world, how our structures have been set up for a while, we've been kind of doing the same type of job. And a lot of people are getting fed up with the whole how everything's been done type stuff. So I feel like that bubble's kind of bursting right now.
I feel like
our capitalism structure.
I feel like what's getting revealed, or one of the biggest things that got revealed, was the whole Epstein stuff. That was like the first moment where we gotta peek behind the scenes, like, oh shit, there's something going on with all these hires up and all these political people, and there's like actual fucking pedophilia going on.
This is
the
internet, because
we gotta talk about that. Cause isn't Ghislaine Maxwell still in jail? Right? She's alive still, right? She hasn't killed herself, like, you know. She hasn't Epstein herself, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty sure she is.
I'm pretty sure she's still alive. And isn't that crazy how this person could potentially just have world-breaking information? You know, because she's Epstein's right hand woman, and Epstein's gone. Yeah. But the whole reason why he's gone is because of the information he had. But Maxwell is still alive. Yeah. So it's like, why? This is why, going back to like, we got to create stuff that we wish existed. What I wish existed is more conversation about this. Yeah. Because why aren't more people talking about it?
That's a good question, because I guess it was like things. I think the reason people stop talking about certain things is because too many things crazy happen in our world that things get pushed under the rug.
That's so easily. I don't want to forget about this. No. This is huge. We got to keep this conversation going.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I'm pretty sure the trial has to have happened by now. You know,
I don't even remember things even talking about
because that. I know when she got in jail, there was a whole thing about how the trial was set a year later. I think a year passed already. Maybe they delayed the trial some more, or maybe they already had it. Who knows? And we just don't know. You know. But I think we should still keep the conversation.
No, you're right. It's like, it's like even the stuff like that happened where he killed himself in jail. Like there's
even that. Do you know what happened?
The
cameras.
Obviously stuff was paid off, and things were. Someone was wanting this to happen.
So for people that don't know, Epstein was this man who had connections with a lot of people in power, political, famous celebrities, all that type of shit, right? But the thing is that this man he had his own plane, and he had his own island where he would keep a lot of underage girls there. And he would bring all these people in power there to have their way with the women, with the young underage girls, right? Yeah. And what he would do is he would secretly record them and blackmail all these powerful people. And that was his whole business strategy. And that's what led to him getting killed. Or that's what led to him taking his own life, you know, because he got caught eventually, got put in jail. and then when he was put in jail, he was gonna go to trial and like, say some names and shit potentially, But what happened was that he ended up hanging himself in the cell. But what was interesting was that this was a very high security, very real ass prison, or whatever, right? And the fact that when he hung himself, coincidentally, the guards in front of his cell were on break, something like that. There's no guards. Yeah. And also coincidentally, the cameras were off.
Yeah. Those coincidences
so
that are cropping up.
Interesting, huh?
No, it's you're right. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and so the fact that this man died, but he could have had world-breaking information, but his partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell, is still alive. So I'm like, why aren't we talking about this shit? No,
that's true. And
I don't want to forget about this.
No, I don't think people. I haven't really heard anybody talk about.
I know
anything of that at all. Ever since he died, it was kind of just everything else was kind of pushed under the rug.
If you want to get into some conspiracy type stuff, I think the reason why like media doesn't talk about it is because if you look at Ghislaine Maxwell's family, I think her family has ties to media. Actually, like her dad's like this huge guy in Jewish media or something like that. I don't know. Not trying to be on no Kanye type stuff, but her dad has connections to media.
So most people that are in movie or TV culture at all, they all have connections in some way or form. It's rare to find somebody that doesn't.
Yeah.
Even a lot of the actors, they're all connected in some way.
So maybe that's why the media is not saying anything. It's because they're all friends,
Paid off, money. It's one thing I know from even just reading books and watching movies is money gives you power.
But guess what? This media channel is not going to get no bribes from Maxwell.
We're fucking poor bitch.
I don't give a fuck.
Well, if someone comes over, hey man, I'll give you $1 billion. You just can't talk about this.
Hey man, if you see me start wearing all Gucci, don't question it, okay? Okay. If you
show up, we're in a different situation.
If you see us do a podcast in Dubai, okay, don't question it, okay?
No. But no, it's like it's unfortunate because I feel like the world is it's just run by greed for the most part, and it's unfortunate people just always want more and more and more.
Man, what's up with this whole pedophilia shit though? Why are there so many people?
Well, like Jared from Subway, that shit right? Crazy. Like, why? How is Subway still around now? To me, that should have ruined them.
I mean, I guess.
It's like it's just like that's crazy. Someone being at the face and like, how is this not known for that? How many years has he been doing that crazy shit around all these fucking people, I
don't know. There's a lot of weird things in this world. Like
it is, man.
Do you know about the Catch Me Outside girl, Bad Baby? Well, there was this whole viral meme moment happening on Dr. Phil. You know Dr. Phil, right? Yeah. The show. He had this little girl on who like made a whole scene, and then she like threatened to fight someone. And was like, "Catch me outside." How about that, right?
Yeah.
But then she blew up because she was able to take that viral moment and make a career. Like she started making music and doing other shit, right? But this whole time she's underage, right? And then recently she turned 18, and when she turned 18, she started an OnlyFans. You know what OnlyFans is, right? And the day of her OnlyFans launching, millions of people signed up. But at the same time, that's a little weird that all these guys were waiting for her to turn 18.
It's grooming. That's the weirdness of that.
They're all waiting for her to turn 18 to start looking at her news and shit. That's a little weird,
No, it is.
So it's something about this world, man. I don't know. It's really weird.
Well, I have these, have my own little theories of how things like this happen, but I feel like people just get in their own, these low frequency vibes, and then once you start hanging around there too long, it's like you get in this tar pit, and like it's hard to get out of that because like they feel like your intuition, like that serial killer where you said like if that door's unlocked, I told you about that one bias, that means it's okay because in his weird
explain?
So there was like the serial killer that he was debating whether or not he should break into this random house that he found and killed people in there. And then he was like struggling, literally hours. He was going back and forth trying to figure out what to do. And he's like, if the door's unlocked, then I can go in.
That was his logic. That was to justify the killing. If the door is unlocked, he's allowed to go in and kill this person.
Yeah. And it was like a whole family. The one girl, she lived, but all of her two brothers, her mom and dad, all of them died. It's fucking crazy.
Sure. So he actually did it.
And he actually, when the door was unlocked, he went back in the woods and waited for a little bit. And he's like, and to really, I guess, clear his mind to be in the headspace, and he went back in there and he did what he did.
That's insane.
But it blows my mind. I'm like, and I always try to think, how does this happen? Because I struggle with my own stuff, and I'm trying to understand this mindset. So I try to put myself in these people's shoes, and I really feel like you have to get to a low frequency. And I feel like you're hanging around at this frequency for too long. And I don't know if you've ever been like played, like gambled and like that, or seen people playing cards. The tables will get hot, or games will get hot, and people just, some person will be lucky every single fucking time. It's like that. It's like an energy. You can cultivate that, and I feel like they're channeling this energy, this low frequency, for so long. It's like it's a part of them now. You have to learn how. It's like almost like how what I guess Christians would say possession. You know, that's kind of what that is. I feel like that's a possession of some sort. You got this thing attached to you now. You gotta do active work now to chill this motherfucker off, because it is leached on. I feel like in life, those rabbit holes, especially if you're looking, you'll start discovering more weird shit.
Sorry, I gotta make a note.
Yeah. So I feel like we could, if you start going through these little rabbit holes just in life, they can start leading you down these other areas where it's probably not where you want your intention or anything like that. It's like you said earlier, you start looking at weird shit for sure. I feel like that's how these things can kind of start. These little weird, things, because people get tired of the same thing, so they want something more. Mm-hmm. But that's something that, what is this thing where you're getting tired of it? There was like this that experiment with a rat where if it had this button, it pushed every time it did that to get pleasure. Instead of choosing the real thing, it wanted this little fake pleasure until it killed itself. It just kept doing it until it dies.
You heard of Rat City?
Yeah, wait, maybe. Sounds a little
It's the same experiment. I don't know if it was like the same exact experiment, but along the same lines. First, I know your experiment is about like how, I think it was like drugs. I think they push a button and they can either get food or get like a hit of morphine. And of course, the rat's always hitting the food one, right? But he tried the morphine one and he got hooked. And he kept hitting the morphine button and just didn't care about eating anymore and just wanted to do drugs. And that's how people are. People just get into drugs and don't care about their well-being. And rats are the same shit. But same thing, Rat City, they had a whole city, not a whole literal city, but a whole like playground for rats. They had everything they wanted. They had food, they had water, they had toys, everything, right? Everything you need to be happy, right? And then eventually they introduced some drugs in there, like morphine or whatever, right? And the rats didn't care for the morphine at all. They already had everything they wanted. Life was happy, right? Yeah. But as soon as they started taking away the toys, less food, less this, the rats started heading towards drugs. And that was just kind of an analogy for humans. Yeah, no, humans really that are in poverty, not doing good, they're going to want to end up in drugs and all that type of stuff. But if you have a good life, you're happy, you have a good family, you got everything you want, you don't do drugs. Yeah, so that's true. The message of the story is just the fact that usually people that do drugs, they're trying to feel something, Because if you do have everything you want, you're not going to do drugs.
But even the people like, that's the thing is most people don't really have everything they want, especially if you end up, that's what's scary is like, could you imagine like struggling with that and then all of a sudden you just make it rich and then you just start, then your expenditures become crazier. Yeah. And that is a terrifying thought. It's like, sometimes it's not the best. I'm glad if it happened when I was younger, I would have been not in a good place, 100%. I would have.
If you got rich?
Yeah, when I was younger, no, it's like there's sometimes I feel like if you're always being ready, like you're always talking about being like keeping your shit sharp always, then you're gonna be good. Like when opportunity finally happens, because you learning to keep this shit mastered. When it finally happens, you're gonna have your head's good. You can handle and walk through life with a certain air and confidence that rarely I think most people can. But I feel like if you haven't got any of that shit straight, like if I still had things I'm still haven't fully worked on, and then I get all this money. That's why it's like some people, like you'll see how these crazy celebrities will, like especially some actors, they'll have these crazy tantrums because they haven't healed their shit. They still have things they have to work on. Yeah. And like you can see how this stuff can help. And if you have any addictions, could you imagine how much that's gonna help you have all this money? You're
fucked, man. What's Johnny Depp's wife? What's her name again? Amber Heard.
Oh yeah.
She has like an alcohol problem. Yeah. She got so much money. She spent so much.
No, that's what I mean. Like I've known people like my dad had bad alcoholism. My brother, same thing. I didn't have that. I don't know why. I didn't really have that addiction. I tested it and it wasn't really there. It didn't like.
Yeah. You never. I never asked you this, but you never really struggled with addiction, did you?
Not in that way. Because I was didn't want to get on drugs because my brother Chris and I had my own issues with the crowds I was around. Yeah. But I did drink a lot. Like before I was younger, I did drink a lot. Okay. But it wasn't more like I didn't like how I drink coffee. I don't need it. It's like I would drink it because it's there when it's available.
Okay.
But my friends were there, and of course I'll drink.
Okay, you weren't like an alcoholic.
No,
every
I was
night.
like,
Pounding.
No.
Okay.
I never was like the average pounding, but it was like I was a very social drinker. If I was around a crowd that drank,
that's normal.
of course, let's go.
Normal.
Like
yeah.
I will go as hard as possible. But
okay.
But that's when like I know by the time I turned 21, I didn't drink as much anymore. I know that's when I stopped drinking.
So you did all your drinking before 21.
No, it's like you know, like a poor white kid in fucking Texas. What else you supposed to do?
I know.
But no, it's like I think a lot of it's just crowds that you end up rolling in. That's why it's important. Move a fucking away, experience life, because you can easily get stuck in bad habits.
No, you got to, man. Because sometimes you're just around bad people, and you don't realize that the environment you're in is not good for you.
No,
because that's your norm.
It is.
And then once it's like some people that are like in. I guess it's kind of me. I've been in like places where like I'm not treated the best. And I thought that's just how the world was. And then you meet like a nice person, and you're like, wait, oh, this is how you're supposed to be treated. You know? Yeah. No, that happens to people.
No, I agree. It's like you have to find your crowd, your rhythm. It's hard. Because sometimes you have to really search. Like you really have to fucking search.
You do.
He's like, I struggle with that. It's like I get asked, even my own hometown. I remember I was like out shopping, like, oh, where are you from? I was like, from here.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like I was shopping in my own hometown. People, because I do things, I guess, so a little differently from my crowd of where I lived. People would question where I'm from. I'm from here.
You don't seem like you're from Texas.
No,
you look like you're straight from Seattle, man. I think you belong.
That's what he said when I first met. I was like, you look like you're from here.
Yeah, I think you belong here.
Yeah,
with the old beanie and everything.
Yeah, I feel more comfortable here than I think I did. I mean, Texas had its moments for sure.
Yeah.
Not now. Texas now, no, man. I'm glad I'm out of that fucking state. But
what's wrong with it now?
Oh, it's just they're going backwards and stuff. Like they've brought abortion back to like now only like 6 weeks.
That's
it's legal.
Went through?
Now it's under like you can say now you cannot have an abortion over 6 weeks, which is nuts. And that's one of the things they brought back. Like so, like all the that law, the what's it called? The dude, I forgot all my knowledge. Anyway, but they basically all the stuff on the abortion, they reverted all the laws back down there. So it's like
I knew it was like in process. I never knew it got finalized.
Yeah, that, and they're also even they started banning. There's some people from school like they were trying to like any book. They're burning books already. They're burning. There's books being burned.
Isn't this like that one book, 1982, whatever, 1941, something 19? You know what I mean?
I think so.
That book that was about like. The whole point of the book was like don't destroy information or books, right? Because in the story you were like destroying all the important books.
Yeah, and that's usually what happened.
What happened in Texas? What book are they burning?
Oh, I don't remember. I think there was like school curriculum, like they didn't like the books, so they started trying to burn a lot of these books. I forgot what book it was.
For what reason?
Just because it was like talking about gay shit, like I'm sorry, homophobic stuff is what they were saying. They didn't like having any mention of gayness at all. It can't be related to that because they don't want it'll cause a child to question in their eyes. So that means that these books shouldn't be allowed.
That's crazy, man.
Well, they won't. I think they started if you're openly gay, I don't think you can be a teacher. Or sorry, if you're openly gay, I know there's stuff on there like they're trying to like outlaw everybody. They're trying to get rid of everybody from. They're really going backwards in time. They're trying to get back all of their stuff. They're trying to.
It's so crazy how you think the U.S. kind of has this universal mindset,
illusion,
but it's really so many different pockets.
We're different countries.
It's so diverse, you know.
We're all different countries.
That's insane.
Even though we're in the same country, we're different.
That's insane that Texas is doing that. Wow.
I mean, there's still people trying to fight against, try to change things, but it's like. When you're having to go back on all these different things, it's like race has always been an issue there in Texas. Like even when there was like this one lady, she got shot, and she was just in her house playing games with her fucking nephew.
What was her race?
She was black. And a welfare check. A neighbor called to get a welfare check because her front door and her lights were on. Her front door, she had the glass door was shut, but the other door was open. And he was like, "Hey, that's not normal." And it was like midnight, so they called the police just to do a welfare check. Just a friendly older neighbor. And the police didn't really get that information. They just heard like a possible break-in and entering. But it was supposed to just be a welfare check, and that was like a miscommunication. But they were in their yard. They instead of going to the front door knocking, they kind of went around the house, and there were some going to the backyard, lights shining. So she was like, "What the fuck? Who's in my backyard?" She grabs her gun, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Put the gun down!" I was like, "Get the fuck out of my backyard!" She's like, wherever they're yelling, And then he's like, and then she's like looking out the window. The cops just start shooting because she had a gun in her hand. But her house. Lights on. Just she had a door that was a glass door shut. That's it. And people were just nervous, trying to make sure she's okay. And they called the cops, which I was telling my friend that's in a different country, like how people are afraid to call the cops, especially like in Texas. Like you don't know what if you should be somewhere friendly, like needing help.
Isn't there a thing called the castle law?
What is that?
If I know this correctly, but I thought there was a law called the castle law, meaning that your home is your castle. You own it, and you're able to defend it. Anybody stepping on it that you don't want, you can shoot them.
100%.
So she had every right to pull out her gun, right?
Yeah. No, she was completely nothing. Anything she was doing is in the wrong. It was all on the right. The police, it doesn't make sense why they had their guns drawn. It doesn't make sense why they were doing that.
Did they know she was black?
They said they were under the assumption that it was a possible break-in.
Okay.
But again, their Texas mentality is shoot first, ask questions later. Because I don't know if they're new, or I know a lot of the officers got fired that happened to, but it's just like the fact that is still going on is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And that is just the civil unrest in Texas is a very good example. That's why I was glad to leave it, because the Black Lives Matter protest, it was getting crazy just there.
Was it?
Yeah, it's like people, there was like supposed to be a protest, but they ended up getting canceled. But still, the people that want to be opposition of the Black Lives Matter protesters, they still showed up fully wearing like
armor.
Yeah. Everyone had armor on, bulletproof vests. They had like strap, gun, ammo all around them. I'm like, they're preparing for fucking war.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's terrifying. I'm just going home. Like, what the fuck is going on?
You saw it.
Yeah, I was like driving through it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Damn,
I was like, is there about to be something happening? They're just standing there black because we have a racist statue.
Yeah. How diverse is Texas, or at least where you're from? Is there a lot of
where I'm from? My wife was the only black person I ever saw.
Because I'm wondering this beyond protest, right? How big is it? There's not a lot of people of color. How big is it? You know?
Well, so in Weatherford, it was pretty big. Where she lives in Peaster, not very big, but where we used to live anyway. But in Weatherford, it's a good mixture of people. So it's. The protest wouldn't be like what it'd be in like Seattle, but I'd probably say it'd probably gather at least 40 people, 30 people. I mean, that's at least normal for like people showing up to protest on something small.
Yeah.
But it's for them to be armed like that. It's crazy because they're the only ones armed. The other people aren't armed at all.
What went down? Did it
escalate? Nothing really crazy. Just like sometimes when it was a lot of yelling back and forth, stuff like that was going on.
It was crazy over here.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. I remember Christian said he was here during that time.
Did he see it?
Yeah, he was in it.
I didn't participate.
Yeah, we should have brought him on and have him talk about it. That would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there was a
block, right?
Yeah, the whole freaking Capitol Hill block that they occupied, and they had like a whole. It was like no police. It was just people just running it themselves. I think people died and shit too.
Yeah, like how'd that work? Like,
I don't know.
It was like that. We're going on for a bit, right?
Not too long, but it was for a bit. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not sure exactly.
That's what people thought we were crazy coming there. But it's like, yo, here's what's going on.
Yeah. Chop. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Chop.
Yeah. Okay. Capitol Hill occupied zone, or I don't know, something like that.
Damn.
Yeah,
and that's that's like I think I did see that a couple of places. Chaz, because Last of Us, Part 2 was shot. It was in Seattle. I don't know if you knew that. So I was like,
doesn't Last of Us? Oh no, Last of Us 2 takes place in Seattle, right? Yeah.
And I was like, when that stuff was going on, I'm like, damn, shit. It was like it might start going that way.
Shit.
Because that was kind of crazy. Because y'all had like shit on fire and stuff.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's a lot of the places, a lot of looting and shit. Which in my opinion, I don't. Well, of course, the people that are taking advantage of it, I don't like those people. But in my opinion, I think it was justified because it's a group of people that just haven't had their voice heard for a long time, and people that aren't getting what they want, eventually they're gonna fucking explode. So this is just years and years and years of all this shit happening. And now it's finally like sometimes you gotta do crazy shit to get your point across.
Seriously,
honestly, because when you affect people's money, that's when shit happens. When all these businesses losing money, that's when shit happens.
No, that's again, you start affecting my money.
That's money runs the world.
Yeah,
if you want to change the world, you got.
Which is crazy because money is a made up thing. Isn't that the crazy thing? It runs a world, but it's fucking made up. It's made up.
It is. Especially because if you look at the U.S. dollar, it's just because we agree on it.
Yeah.
It's not backed by gold.
No.
It used to be.
Yeah.
But now it's not backed by gold. So when it was backed by gold, it made sense.
It did.
But now it's just literally, we just agreed that it's worth this amount. Which is why I'm so into crypto, because crypto does have value. It's not just
until we lose all electricity.
If that happens, we got worse problems,
we
man. We got worse problems. Like how we're not going to be able to do this podcast, you know? Anyway, it's the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you want to say anything?
No, we're good, man. That's perfect.
Yeah. It was a good topic, man. Damn. This one was a lot about current events, a lot about potential shit happening, a lot about us questioning everything, which is what we do all the time anyway.
Yeah, always.
But yeah, anyway, appreciate you for watching. I forgot, we're on everything. Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TikTok, YouTube. Of course, if you're watching it on YouTube. Yeah, I'm Seiko.
I'm Josh.
What's your Instagram again?
It's going to be Severin Photography.
Could you spell that out?
SEVEREN. Severin Photography.
There you go. Check them out.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate you for watching.